How you opted to this particular field, the diplomatic service, which is totally different career?
I not always wanted to be a diplomat. First, I wanted to be a forester like my grandfather.
Currently, if we look at the word is polarized. There are challenges to that interfaith harmony. Although it doesn't reflect the majority of Christians and Muslims as well, but due to a minority, they are creating distances. What could be done to promote more interfaith harmony and interfaith dialogue in order to promote love, peace, harmony?
I don't think that the religions are guilty, if I may put it that way.
Religions are not at all guilty.
No, it's rather politics. If we really talk religion and then religious leaders talk among themselves, I'm sure that they can find much more of what unites them rather than divides them.
This Ukrainian war is prolonging, and that has endangered the peace word over really. All efforts have been failed. There have been dialogue, there have been peace efforts, there have been peace dialogue. How this conflict could be resolved?
I think that we need to go to the basics here.
Why international law has failed in preventing Israel from committing genocide of innocent people?
But also Poland is one of these countries who recognized the Palestinian statehood in the 80s. This is a terrible tragedy.
Which must come to an end. Which must come to an end.
Which must come to the end.
Bilateral relations between Pakistan and Poland. Where these relations stand?
Poland and Pakistan have enjoyed a friendly, very effective relationship. Polish oil and gas company Orlen has been present in Pakistan for 26 years.
6 years.
26 years.
26 years.
Yes.
Good. And doing good business.
They are doing good business. They are extracting natural gas in Kirtan Mountains. And they deliver this gas to the Pakistani consumers.
Recently, United Nations Security Council report, Sanctions Committee, talked about terrorism hubs in Afghanistan and different linkages and growing terror networks and things like that. And Pakistan is the biggest victim because terrorism comes from across the border.
There is no justification
for permitting these terror groups to be based there.
We condemn terrorism in any of its form. Coalition, we have spent a lot of...
Poland was part of the NATO in Afghanistan?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. We spent a lot of... treasure and also blood of our servicemen, and then we would like to see this country to be stable.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to Program Insight in V News English, Pakistan. Poland is an important country in Europe. And when we say in Europe, it is part of European Union. It is rising economy. It's a rising country with very strong history, with very strong culture, and with very strong tradition. And Pakistan and Poland also enjoy very close ties. There is no large Pakistani diaspora, but there are Pakistani students who are studying in various Polish institutions and universities. In addition to this, there is robust business and economic cooperation between the two countries. And being part of the Europe, Poland is currently defending Europe against the Russian aggression in Ukraine. So there are so many challenges that Poland is facing because of the ongoing Ukrainian war as well. And other than this, when we come about religion, there are challenges in Europe, rising Islamophobia, why it is so. Recently, there have been such incidents in United Kingdom as well, and in the past in Europe as well. These incidents are detrimental to interfaith harmony, peace, and tolerance. So, to discuss these all things, bilateral relations, Poland's role in the world affairs, Poland's role in regional peace and security, and many more. Today, we are joined by Poland's ambassador to Pakistan, Mr. Maciej Pisarski. Very warm welcome to program. First, our viewers would like to know about you, that you are a traditional foreign service career diplomat, or how you opted to this particular field, the diplomatic service, which is totally different career and has a different dimensions as well. What your parents actually wanted to make you?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm very happy to be with you and with your viewers. Thank you very much for this very kind introduction. To answer your question, I've been in the foreign service for 26 years.
You're a career diplomat.
I am a career diplomat. But you're right. I not always wanted to be a diplomat. First, I wanted to be a forester, like my grandfather. I literally grew up in the woods. So
in the woods.
I really like it. Then I continued to study history at the Warsaw University, and
So by education, you are an historian.
I am an historian. So I wanted to devoted my life to history research, but I think I got lucky because my adulthood coincided with the systemic changes in Poland. Beginning of the 90s, after the fall of communism, the country needed new people, young people with a little bit different perspective. So
Then you chose foreign service.
Yes, I decided to join the foreign service because I wanted to be a part of this greater systemic change. Of course, in a very small way, individual scope, I would say, but it was very much the world outside that motivated me to be a part of historic changes.
And as you said, by education, you are an historian.
Yes, I am.
So our viewers would like to also know history of Pakistan-Poland relations very precisely, although a lot could be said, but precisely how the relations have been between Pakistan and Poland.
All right, so we can talk about Polish-Pakistani relations on different level. Yeah? I mean, the state-to-state relations that became 61 years ago.
History is 61 years old.
Yes, I mean state-to-state, diplomatic relations, but people-to-people contacts are much longer. It really started with the Polish wartime refugees who came down from Siberia in the Soviet Union in 1942, 43, 44, and they found a shelter in Karachi, today Pakistan. That it was a refugee camp, and we still have Polish graves at the Kora Kabristan Cemetery in Karachi.
Karachi, which is very popular one.
Then there was this very, very interesting episode of around 30 Polish service people, pilots, engineers, instructors, who came to Pakistan at the outset of its independence and joined the effort to build the new establish the Air Force. One of those persons rose to the rank of Air Commodore in Pakistani Air Forces.
Very good.
He and his family chose Pakistan as
they lived here.
New home. They lived in Karachi. Their children still live in Karachi. Their grandchildren still live in Karachi. So they became a part of the Pakistani society. And of course, I'm talking about Air Commodore Władysław Turowicz. and his wife Zofia Torowicz. So you can see that
these are historical linkages.
Yes, and there's a very very precious underpinning of the official relations, which consist of the strong people-to-people bond. And then Pakistan became very known, for instance, among our climbers who have played a very important role in Polish culture. They still do. So growing up in Poland, I heard stories about K2, Nanga Parbat all the time. So there was this sense of adventure, this sense of going beyond the frontiers, and it was associated with Pakistan. Very positive image of that.
In the past, we will come to this issue of interfaith harmony. Since centuries and centuries, Muslims and Christians used to close to each other. There have been historical instances in which both Christians and Muslims have very strong linkages. There used to be interfaith harmony. But what happened? Currently, if we look at the word is polarized. There are challenges to that interfaith harmony. And these challenges and these issues, although it doesn't reflect the majority of Christians and Muslims as well, but due to a minority, they are creating distances. What could be done to promote more interfaith harmony and interfaith dialogue in order to promote love, peace, harmony?
I think that we need to be very careful about making a distinction,
and distinction
between religion and those conflicts, because I don't think that the religions are guilty, if I may put it that way.
Religions are not at all guilty.
No, it's rather politics and the way the certain political forces use religion.
They exploited the religion.
Use religion, instrumentalize religion for their political
point
goals.
Scoring.
Yes, and this is not a new history. I mean, if you look at for instance, Europe's history, starting. Maybe not starting, but Europe went through the period of religious wars in 15th and 16th century. So that was something that was a part of that history. So I think that if we really talk religion and then religious leaders talk among themselves, I'm sure that they can find much more of what unites them rather than divides them.
True.
So I think that this is a call on the politicians to stop using religion for the purposes of incitement, of tensions, exploitation of justified and unjustified frustrations, anxieties. I mean, the world around us is very, very complex and very complicated.
What is the issue behind this rising Islamophobia? And although at the state level these things are not encouraged, but there are far-right elements who are indulged in such practices. What do you think?
Frankly, I don't know, because, believe it or not, but I haven't met the instances of Islamophobia in Poland. I know that there are social conflicts in many countries, but I am not a good person to talk about Islamophobia because
Poland has been free from this.
Well, fortunately, this is partially. I think that religion is still very respected in Poland. Of course, good. Polish society has been changing.
Religions.
Yes, we have. Yes, but we still are very much respectful towards religion as a kind of social binding, social institutions. We in Poland we have indigenous Polish Muslim community. It's a very, very small.
Indigenous.
That
is great. Indigenous.
Yes.
Not migrant.
No. There are a few places in which Muslims have lived for centuries.
For centuries.
This is in the eastern part of of Poland. You know that Polish borders dramatically changed after the Second World War. So in pre-war Poland, this community was much larger than today, and they are very much respected, and they are, considered as part of our history, and we are very proud of that.
And everything. Coming back to this peace and conflict, Excellency Maciej Pisarski, this Ukrainian war is prolonging, and that has endangered the peace word over really. All efforts have been failed. There have been dialogue. There have been peace efforts. There have been peace dialogue. Sometime Russia took a strict position, didn't show flexibility. So sometime the conditions on the other part, on the part of EU and NATO, have been quite tough. So tell us, as a historian, as a diplomat, that how this conflict could be resolved. Yes. So in order to establish peace, ultimately, without siding any side.
Well, I think that we need to go to the basics here. And fundamental issues here are that Ukraine is fighting for its sovereignty and independence, and its right to exercise a free choice of its future, basically. So we see this as a classic example of a country who is defending itself against
foreign aggression,
which was not provoked and is fully illegal, because I would like to stress that the Russian Federation officially recognized the Ukrainian border on many occasions. From Poland's perspective, this is of existential importance that Ukraine is able to defend itself, because if this aggression is successful and is rewarded, I think that the whole security architecture in Europe will be undermined, and we will find ourselves in a very dangerous situation. First in Europe, but not only in Europe. Just think about the consequences. If this is allowed to be successful, what kind of message that experience would send to all those, mightier, powerful, who have some territorial disputes and some complicated history with its smaller neighbors. And then to your answer, to your question, I think that this is critically important, how this war ends. In my opinion, it should end with just and lasting peace, and a peace that will acknowledge and reinforce the norms of the international law.
There will be compromise, of course.
We'll see.
Without compromise, an agreement cannot be reached.
We know that all conflicts end with some kind of political
deals or some
settlement.
Kind of political compromise.
But I think that this is, and I want to stress that this is very important how this ends, because if it ends with this clear recognition and upholding the norms of the international law, then it will contribute to greater stability globally. If somehow the aggressor was to be awarded, that would send a terrible signal, and in the effect we would all be affected by this negatively. But I am very confident that with this spirit of resistance, perseverance, the Ukrainian people will win this war.
And Excellency, since you talked about international law, and you are also a good expert of history, political science, and international law, why international law has failed in preventing Israel from committing genocide of innocent people, putting aside all political dimensions, so purely on humanitarian angle, because there have been a verdict of the International Court of Justice?
Yeah. I don't think that we can blame international law, because international law needs to be, enforced by
international bodies,
by real actors. But let me say, in this case, Poland is a good friend to both, to Israel and the state of Palestine. We have had a historically very special relationship with the Jewish people. The biggest Jewish
community in
Europe lived in Poland before the war. Out of 5.2 million of Polish casualties during the Second World War.
During the Second World War.
5.2 million casualties of the Nazi German occupation. I'm not talking about Soviet occupation.
Okay.
3 million were killed because they were Jewish.
Out of 5 million.
Yes. So historically, we have had a very special relationship with the Jewish people and the state of Israel. But also Poland is one of these countries who recognized the Palestinian statehood in the 80s.
And has formal relations?
Yes. We have a Palestinian embassy in Warsaw. And we have our representative office
over there
in Ramallah. We condemned the events of October 7th. But also we have called a very clearly for the respect of humanitarian law, and then for protection of the life of the civilians. This is a terrible tragedy.
Which must come to an end. Which must come to an end.
Which must come to the end, because we can see how this conflict can spill over and to create even greater conflict in a very complex, very delicate region as the Middle East.
So after the killing of Ismail Hania in Tehran, the entire Middle East is at the brink of another war. So your thoughts, how it could be further prevented? Different countries have issued already advisories to their citizens to immediately evacuate from Lebanon. So in keeping in view the reports that Iran could possibly attack Israel. So there are dangers to the peace in the Middle East after the killing of Ismail Hania in Tehran. How you see these developments and how peace could be promoted? As a bystander, you can
bystander comment. Or expert view. Well, I don't know all the details, but I think that there is a very, very active diplomacy behind the cause. I think so. Okay. There is at least a diplomatic effort. I think that it's in nobody's interest to see this conflict expand even further. I can see that some of the leading countries in the world have good interest to have Middle East as a very stable and quiet place, because this is so important for instance, for the energy security, for the transportation of goods globally. So I hope very much that the convergence of interest and this realization of the gravity of the situation will prevail, and we will be able to avoid a major escalation. But again, this is my
personal view. Coming to bilateral relations between Pakistan and Poland, please tell our viewers where these relations stand and which are the areas in which the bilateral relations and bilateral cooperation in different fields could be further enhanced.
Yes. Well, I think that Poland and Pakistan have enjoyed a friendly, very effective relationship, which is based on mutual respect, which is based on the understanding of our country's predicament within our respective region. What unites us, I think, is the emphasis of a necessity to uphold the principles of the international law, and those enshrined in the UN Charter as the fundaments of the world's security order. True. So I think that our countries are very much aligned when it comes to building a peaceful, stable, and secure global environment, an environment in which all countries, regardless their size and potential, can thrive as sovereign entities. I know it might sound very, very diplomatic, but I think that this is this is of the essence. Now, where do we see the greatest potential?
Exactly.
I would point to some success stories, and then namely that Polish oil and gas company Orlen has been present in Pakistan for 26 years.
6 years.
26 years.
26 years.
Yes.
Good. And doing good business.
They are doing good business. They are extracting natural gas in Kirtan Mountains. And they deliver this gas to the Pakistani consumers. So it's an Pakistani indigenous gas for Pakistani consumers, is extracted by Polish company who who developed a unique technology of extracting this resource from the so-called tide formations. So this is unconventional gas, and there is a lot of potential for that company to expand. Of course, it needs a little bit of friendlier environment. But we have been in conversation with the Pakistani authorities. They've been very supportive, and they also understand the value of this investment, and because it has also a potential to grow. Another example I can give you that this past May we brought to Pakistan for the first time in many years a Polish business mission. These were young business people who have developed interesting solutions, technological solutions for all sorts of problems related to climate change. Water management, wastewater management, treatment of all sorts of waste, smart cities, renewable energy, and these were Polish technologies, right? And we were showcasing them, and then I hope that we can combine the innovative thinking of Polish entrepreneurs with very creative energy of the Pakistani entrepreneurs, and then we will be gradually able to build a more robust economic cooperation.
So coming to peace, security, and counter-terrorism, of course, that is, when we talk about terrorism, it's a threat to the global peace and it's a global enemy, terrorism. Recently, United Nations Security Council report, Sanctions Committee, talked about terrorism hubs in Afghanistan and different linkages and growing terror networks and things like that. And Pakistan is the biggest victim because terrorism comes from across the border. How you see this UN Security Council report regarding the presence of high-value terrorists and the terrorist organizations, which is a threat to regional and global peace, because the Afghan Taliban were not supposed to allow these elements after signing Doha Agreement.
Yes. Well, again, this is not my area of my responsibility, and then I will have
as a bystander.
Yes, as I will have to make another disclaimer here. But let me put it that way: Afghanistan has been for far too long a place from which major threats to the regional security and peace originated. There was a moment when Poland was very much involved as a part of the NATO coalition. We have spent a lot of.
Poland was part of the NATO in Afghanistan.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. We spent a lot of. Treasure and also blood of our servicemen, and then we would like to see this country to be stable, to be able to develop in a peaceful way. Of course, there is no justification
for permitting these terror groups to be based there.
We condemn terrorism in any of its form.
How you see, you might have traveled to different areas, might have met youngster people, and there is always a potential to further rise. Your thoughts so far about Pakistan's potential to grow?
Well, I think that Pakistan has been endowed with just enormous treasures in terms of natural resources, in terms of this amazing nature. It has everything. It has the most picturesque, the most beautiful mountains in the
places,
world.
Valleys, and
valleys. There is, there are great rivers. They are deserts. There's just amazing, beautiful coastline, and the history of Pakistan. Pakistan may be young as a country, as a state, but the history of the people who have lived here goes back to 5 millennia, and all those the remnants of old cities are there. The great Gandhara civilization, the
thousands of years,
the beautiful cities like Lahore,
Multan, Sakkar, Hyderabad, Karachi.
This is treasure, and I think, and I would like to. I don't know. I know that I don't have to do this, but the Pakistani people should be so proud of it. But also, they, if I may put it that way, they may want to think how to present that heritage to the outside world.
Great.
Yes, of course. Natural resources, agriculture, industry,
youth.
They are very important, but also tourism has a great potential. And of course, you mentioned youth, young people, very bright, very intelligent, very resourceful, with this hunger for success. I think this can be a great engine for a positive change.
And there have been a lot of Polish mountaineers in the northern areas of Pakistan. Although almost every day we see a climber climbing on Nanga Parbat, on Broad Peak, on K2, and on these things.
Not only climbers, but we have just had a major expedition of Polish gliders. Who flew
Polish gliders
who flew as a first in the world. They flew over K2 and all these high, beautiful mountains.
A successful experiment.
Of course.
It was recently.
Yeah, just
True.
2 weeks ago,
2 weeks.
1 week ago. It was a kind of new way of exploring this beauty.
Great.
The pictures, the videos made by that expedition led by Poland's multiple champion of the world in gliding, Mr. Kava. I mean,
Mr. Kava.
it was also reported by the Pakistani press. So that's a kind of novelty. This is a new thing. So you can see that there is always something new to do.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Maciej Pisarski, for sparing few moments and speaking to Program Insight and expressing your warm sentiments regarding the future of Pakistan. And you also spoke about different issues. Dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Allah Hafiz from Insight.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. खुदा हाफिज.
Khuda Hafiz.